All right, first of all, thanks everybody for being here. Huge thanks to the great Spartan Nation fan base. What a beautiful 82-degree sunny day today it was. And to see that type of support was amazing. So huge kudos and thank you, to our great fans. A couple of thoughts. We've had a ton of development and growth. Starting in the winter with strength and Coach Welsh, our body weights are up over 6 pounds per guy. Just really impressed with the job that he's done and the way that our guys have come together and really start to forge a brotherhood, which, it's them giving of themselves for the greater good of the team. And to see that growth as a group has been outstanding. Now that we're going to add 13 new guys here in the summer, but to see that brotherhood really start to come together is something I'm really proud of the guys. Really thankful for the alignment. To have Kevin Guskowitz as our president and Jay Batt as our AD. You can feel that along with our coaches and our staff and the way that our players have bought into what we've brought here from a values thought process, the way that we want to go about developing the program, developing them individually. They bought in, but to have that alignment is something that I'm very grateful for and very thankful for as we move forward and just couldn't be more excited about the future of Michigan State football. As I alluded to when I first got here, toughness was born here, and we're working our tails off to establish that. Early practices, kicking things off at 6:20 in the morning. We had guys that had to be in the building at 4:50, 4:30 to get warmed up, get ready to go. We pushed them hard in every aspect of everything we've done since we've started, and the guys have responded, and they've responded in a positive way. So it's exciting. It's exciting the way that they're investing. It's exciting the way that they're grinding. And then to think about where we're at with, as I alluded to a second ago, with the alignment, with the kickoff of Spartan Ventures, and all the support that we've got from President Guskowitz and Jay Batt. It's an awesome time to be a Spartan. We put the roster together. It was to add competitive depth, and you saw a lot of different guys get reps today. And, that obviously is a snapshot of one day of practice. But I like a lot. I like where we're at from a standpoint of we have a lot of depth that's going to have to compete, improve, and get better as we move forward here in this next and probably most important phase of team development, which is the third quarter of the offseason, which is summer workouts. Like I alluded to with our fans, I want to have a huge shout out, a huge thank you to our students that help and support our football program on an everyday basis in video, in creative, in nutrition, and athletic training, in our equipment staff, and recruiting, and operations, and coaching staff. We started things at 6:20 in the morning. They were there before we were. They were there after we left. And so for our students that come and support Spartan football, we're incredibly thankful and incredibly grateful for them. And then, like I said, we're fired up for this next step. We've got a couple weeks here, finals coming up in a week, and then we move forward with a couple weeks off, and then the guys get back and we get into that third quarter where we really kick things into overdrive from a strength, a conditioning, and really coming together standpoint. So fired up for that next step, just so we're all scoring at home. We start camp in 110 days. We'll be back in Spartan Stadium to take on the opener in 141 days. And we go down the road to take on Michigan in 203 days. So those things are all top of mind with me, with our coaches, with our program. And so that's what's coming up next for us, is this next step here in the third quarter. So appreciate you listening, and I'll answer any and all questions that you have. So thanks a lot.
It seemed like defense obviously seemed like it had the upper hand today. I was wondering if that was kind of what you expect when you retain a coordinator and you've got a new offense coming on the other side, and just kind of your thoughts overall.
Yeah, I wouldn't overthink who had highs and lows today. It was one day of practice. I'd say on Thursday the offense had more production, so today was a good day for the defense. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit easier in controlled situations for the defense. There's no doubt about that. But I thought there were some good things offensively and a lot of different moving parts, right? We've got different guys that are going to be in the mix in the spring, that maybe, in the summer, and then in the fall that weren't maybe available this spring. But overall, just really happy with the growth of the entire football program.
A couple takeaways today. What did you make of the secondary through these 15 practice sessions, spring game, the whole of the spring?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what I alluded to earlier about competitive depth. I think we've got a lot of great depth there. You saw some new faces out there maybe for the first time for you guys watching practice, and I think Brian Gasser, our personnel department, we put together a plan, as we went into the portal, and I've said it now multiple times, to add competitive depth. And to me, that's an area where we hit a lot of home runs. A lot of talent back there on the back end, and we're going to need it not only on defense, but also in the kicking.
I was asking John McConaughey about the other day, just to have quarterback, obviously MSU still has to continue to perform, but sort of have it sort of figured out when you have some of the other new pieces and starting a program over, what's the value of that, having that position, at least having some semblance of clarity there, and then the secondary, how is LSU handling these 15 too? Well,
let's go back to the decision we made to fully buy into Les. When we started our journey here, we evaluated his tape. We looked at where we saw him for those games that he was able to play in last year, and then in our eye, with the wisdom and the experience we have to project, and we went all in to have him be our starting quarterback. I think there's a lot on that position's plate, and when you have a new coordinator and you have a whole new system that's things that you need to work on every moment of every day, and Les has been spectacular. Now, are we the finished product? No. Are we the finished product offensively? No. Are we the finished product as a team? No. But I'll go back to what I said. We start camp 110 days from now. We just got a lot of work. Like, this won't stop. But we have great confidence in Les, and I really like the depth in that room. Through the 15 practices, there's been ebb and flow with every guy, but Les is our starter, and we're excited that he is, and we're looking forward to him leading the program. He's done a terrific job from a leadership standpoint, and I know he's going to take another step here this third quarter of our prep.
Jim? Yeah, Coach, just some general housekeeping. D'Antonio used to refer to that as thud, where you're not tackling to the ground. Is that what you called it, like tacking off or whatever? Firstly, do you have a word for that? And secondly, with last week's closed scrimmage, was that some tackling to the ground, or was it thud also?
Yeah, Jim. Yeah, we do all of our tackling to the ground, depending on where our health is. So that's the first way I evaluate it. We had a number of guys that were banged up, either O-line wise or just some other guys' bumps and bruises that we weren't necessarily going to go tackle live in scrimmage situations. So I define it the same way as Coach D. We call thud. And today was a smart thud day. We've been grinding for 15 practices. We wanted to walk off healthy. We walked out of today healthy 100%. And, fundamentally and technically, Joe Rossi and then Joel Welsh moving forward in the summer with the strength program, we will work the fundamentals of tackling every day that we're together. Either the footwork, the angles, the way we go about it, how we work together, and then the athleticism and the reactions and things that we need to do with the strength staff when we get going in the summer workouts.
Also interesting, Kenneth Williams, I think, the touchdown. A guy that I think is going to be a special teams guy first, I think. But is he involved in the running back competition per se? And also Bryson Williams, what have you learned about him?
Yeah. Well, let me go in reverse. Bryson's, big, physical young man that's got a huge future. I mean, there's not very many young men that are 220 pounds that can move like he can move. And you just saw a lot of growth throughout the spring for him. And man, oh man, are we excited about him. K-Dub, man, he's explosive, and we think we've got, similar to the question about the secondary, I think we've got really solid competitive depth in the running back room. That was by design. Cam and Jazz have been exactly what we thought they'd be, that we brought into Portland, and K-Dub has been wild, Marsh has been wild. Like, a lot of guys have played well. Zion's played well. Like, there's a lot of depth there, and I can list every guy's name. Like, it's a very competitive room. We're going to need that group, to play well running the ball, play well in protection, play well catching the ball out of the backfield, and then we're going to have those guys that are like 3, 4, and 5 and below because they're so athletic. They're going to have to step up in the kick game too to add depth. I mean, that's how we're going to have to, win games. We're going to have to win, in the margins like everybody in the Big Ten. And that third phase in the kick game, we've got to get that group to believe and buy into how important that is. And they've been great all spring, but that room is going to be really important in the kick game.
Also, did you learn anything about anybody today in this?
I learned our fans are awesome. I mean, how about that? I mean, coming out, again, we got river flooding. We got roads closed and, sunshiny day. They were awesome, and we appreciate them more than anything. We wanted today to be a practice, and it was. I don't know how many total plays did we get. Does anybody know? Somebody charted it in your group. Come on. Anybody know? I haven't seen. The last time I heard we were somewhere around 80, so I thought we had about 12 more minutes left, so we may have gotten to about 100 reps. That'll be great to teach from. And again, in a practice, there's so much ebb and flow that you have. I'm the happiest guy in the program right now because we walk out of today healthy. And that was, you know, obviously goal number one, so I'm ecstatic about that.
You had mentioned, I think you talked about Bryson, about the growth from practice 1 to this practice. When you look at guys in this part of the year, how accelerated can that growth be in April? And when does that growth process, I guess, I don't want to say stop,
Yeah.
but when you get into fall camp, like, is there a point in fall camp where you're saying, this guy is taking leaps and bounds from April to now, before the season starts?
Yeah, I think improvement is ongoing. That road is always under construction. I mean, all the way through. It will never stop. You know, my last college game was just that kid named Peyton Manning. He turned out to be a pretty good player. You can figure out my last game, how that went with me on defense and him at quarterback. But with that being said, you know, he came and spoke to our quarterbacks at my last stop. He was going into at the time at Denver, and he brought a couple of his notebooks. He brought a notebook from our game that we played against each other, and then he brought the notebook from the last game he played. Like, he never stopped, and that is our mindset. That's what Nick is talking to the guys about. You know, that road of improvement is always under construction, and we will be grinding all the way through. You never know. You never know when all of a sudden it clicks for a guy, and I've learned a long time ago, you never give up on a guy. You never give up. You just keep coaching, and you know, I'm going back to your question about Bryson, he's just learning a new offense, kind of being at one position now for the first time. There's just a lot going on, and man, are we excited about him.
Kind of adding to that, for freshmen in particular, like a guy like Cade, saw him kind of on that rollout with a big arm, like, is there a potential for those freshmen to take that kind of leap between now and fall?
100%, and I reserve the right to play the best 11 players on every single snap. I don't care how old you are, where you're from, none of that matters. We're going to do everything we can. And that's going back to that theme of competitive depth. I want every guy walking out of here feeling like they can be a starter. And where they're at maybe right now, you know, what's more important is where their confidence is. And we've got to get this group, just as a team, we got to harden our edge, we got to get tougher, we got to get mentally tougher, but we got to get more confidence and a little bit more swagger. And that's going to happen through preparation. And you know, it'll be in earnest when those guys come back. They're walking out of here with a workout plan for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we will be checking in to make sure that we're going where we need to go and how we need to do it. Because when we come back, we're going to hit the ground running. We're not going to kind of ease into it when the guys get back in June.
All right, Coach, we gotta get upstairs. So
Okay.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It's been a great spring to be with you. Look forward to seeing you here in the summer. All right, thanks a lot. Go Green.